giving some thought to the best way of maintaining that representation. The point I'm attempting to illustrate is that New Zealand needs to seriously rethink both the style and location of our offshore representation. We need to more accurately forecast our future needs and priorities. We've already started this process with what we call the hub and spoke model being put in place in Europe. Operating with London as the hub, smaller missions are being maintained in Warsaw, Stockholm and Madrid, essentially involving one seconded Ministry of Foreign Affairs head of mission with locally engaged support staff. With 1 million New Zealanders overseas, we need to learn that it is possible in most parts of the world to locally engage talented New Zealanders without the substantial extra cost of seconding ministry people from Wellington. We're taking a similar approach with new missions. Last year we decided to open a mission in Abu Dhabi to bolster our ties with the Gulf Cooperation Council, an area of huge economic potential for New Zealand. That office will consist of one seconded ministry staffer as ambassador, supported by locally engaged support staff. There may also be some cases where the most effective and efficient model is to have an ambassador based in Wellington, making regular visits to their designated accreditation. Trade and economic opportunities are not all to be found in large developing continents. Many of you will know that Guam is currently the centre of a massive expansion due to the United States base relocation there. The US government plans to spend US dollars 367 million on its construction program in the upcoming financial year. $367 million in the upcoming year alone. And it's relocating 8,000 military personnel there. We not only have no representation in Guam, we have none as a country anywhere in the North Pacific. Yet Guam is a place with enormous trade and economic opportunity for New Zealand. So all of these pressures make it essential that we should have a highly efficient Wellington head office and a flexible, innovative approach to the style of missions we maintain overseas. An example of this is the changes I've initiated in Vienna, where our membership of the International Atomic Energy Agency requires us to have a mission. That mission was, until last year, not accredited for bilateral purposes in Austria. That task was undertaken out of Germany. So the task of making calls on Austrian ministers in Vienna was undertaken by visiting New Zealand diplomats from Germany. Worse, if the New Zealander ran into consular difficulties in Austria, they needed to seek help from the embassy in Germany, not the mission down the road in Vienna. That is, you may be pleased to hear, no longer the case. So, ladies and gentlemen, the changes that we're making are going to take time, but they are designed to improve our international footprint and to deliver some financial savings in the upcoming 2 years, as well as leaving the ministry better placed to cope with the cost pressures in offshore places in the ensuing years. I'll focus my remarks outside of a region, but we have also been making changes closer to home. The ministry's offices in Brisbane and Melbourne were closed last year. The New Zealand government can do more of its business in Australia by having ministers and officials visit, even for a day, and through teleconference and video conferencing arrangements in the same way that you do with your businesses relating to Australian clients. I've asked our new High Commissioner in Canberra, Martin Dunn, to think innovatively about how we can lead our New Zealand Inc. approach to doing business this way. Within our Pacific post, we've yet to bank the economies that will come from the reintegration of the aid agency back into the ministry. But that will happen over time, you can be sure. It is part of a wider exercise of securing greater efficiency in our aid expenditure. Currently it costs $63 million to administer our $500 million a year aid budget. That's around 12% of the budget goes in overheads. First round of changes have been announced and more will follow. Key driver of this process will be slimming down the number of individual programs we run, over 800 last year, all with their own assessment and audit requirements. In relation to the Pacific division of the ministry, I have made plain my view that New Zealand should boast the most expert and connected group of officials on Pacific matters of any foreign service in the world. While we do export over $1 billion worth of goods to our Pacific neighbours a year, trade is not the paramount consideration here. To our partners, the Pacific is a large, complex part of the globe with all manner of development, humanitarian, stability and security challenges. Rather than investing their own resources in understanding that region closely, they'd much rather take guidance from us and our Australian friends and partner us in development work in the region. This is a unique contribution that New Zealand can make to our partners and one that they greatly value. This is not a pitch for more of the Ministry's diplomatic resources to be spent in the region. I believe we've got sufficient in the budget to do the job. But I have asked that a high priority and high quality resources be allocated to what I regard as a key flagship of our foreign policy.